Hello and welcome to my first live stream on Facebook and another live stream on Twitch, and I don't know where else we're live. Thanks to a fellow funnel hacker named Andy Griffith and his Funnel Growth Club, I got an amazing deal on Restream. So now we are basically live on multiple platforms. I'm just gonna check if it works properly. Theoretically, I should be live on I don't know how many locations. But obviously, I don't know if this works. I'm also the chat should work for all sources, so I'm curious if it does or if it does not. So if you're there and watching, feel free to write something in the chat so that I know that it's working. And well, if you're not there, you hardly can write anything in the chat. What we're gonna do today, once I know that everything is working, what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna show you how to set up Google Tag Manager within your funnels and therefore improve the tracking. So increase what you can track, and obviously business without data cannot be successful. You always need like with your funnels, you need to know the opt-in rates and the conversion rates and stuff like that to know how it's gonna work out in the end. The same applies to the statistic within your funnels, what do people click on, what do they not click on, what do they ignore. And today we're gonna go through one of my funnels, actually the funnel for my inner circle, which I'm polishing a little bit. So we're gonna go through that and we'll see if, or not if, we will see how to integrate to Google Tag Manager. And so there it says warning for Twitch, bitrate is too high. Okay, I would need transcoding. So we're gonna restart the stream. Sucks a little bit, but or we will check on Twitch, because usually I stream with 6,000 kilobits per second, which may not tell you anything, but doesn't have to. And apparently setting up Restream, it kind of reset my bitrate to 10,000. Obviously, I don't want to do transcoding, so let's quickly check the Twitch inspector for performance details. And it says unstable, but probably because it's 10,000 kilobits. Just gonna quickly again make sure that I'm live everywhere. So while Restream is nice, it actually increases the effort in the beginning because it requires you to check everywhere. Okay, on Twitch we are live. Twitch works, very great. Whoever wants to watch on Twitch is twitch.tv/Christian Rauchenwald, the name of my page, my personal name, you hardly can misspell it. Now let's check, we should be live on multiple spots on Facebook. Apparently we are, because somebody reacted, yeah. Are we live? I should be live in my Facebook groups. There's this, the public funnel circle group, which is a small but thriving community of funnel hackers helping each other with zero advertising involved. Yeah, so nobody's trying to push you or pitch you their product. And then we have what else do we have? We have the inner circle group, which is my basically paid premium group where I focus or I spend a little bit more time there helping people there. So we are live there, that works as well. Now I should be also live. Well, I'm also live there, which is great. And on top of that, where should I also be live? I should be live on, or actually I can go here and click here. So I should be live here as well. And it says I'm live. Just before starting streaming, I'm a little late today. Usually I stream at 8 p.m. GMT +3, which is right now. I started 10 minutes late because I was setting up Restream, and before that I was recording episode number 31 of my vlog. And now that we have that done, we're gonna simply get started. So what we need is the Google Tag Manager. Yeah, let's just go there. And then we need Clickfunnels. Yeah, almost. And we're gonna start from scratch. So why should you use Google Tag Manager and just instead of just throwing in all your tags and everything randomly? It's quite, there's a bunch of reasons. It's easier to manage. Yeah, it's more flexible in terms of what you can do. You have way more possibilities. And you have So what you just saw there is like the Google tags I'm using for my one funnel away funnel, which would be this one, but there we would need to go there, I think. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna pick in the funnel. I don't want to share too much, you know, like keeping focused on the stuff you need. Where do I have funnel circle there, funnel circle homepage. Okay, so we open that. So like that's the tracking for this. And here I'm basically tracking how far people scroll. So like how far on the page do they get to see if they actually read what I'm offering. And also like I'm tracking once they subscribe here. And also like basically I can therefore optimize Facebook campaigns to for conversions. Yeah, so now we're gonna get this here. And what we're going to optimize today is like the funnel circle page. And I'm just quickly going to rearrange some windows on my third screen on the right. Yeah, if I manage to, like put this here, put that here, put it up there. No, that I don't want. Where's my chat? Chat is here. Okay, chat, there you go. Chat. So I see the chat better in case you leave some comments or not. I'm actually curious, like, so if you're watching, I would really appreciate leaving a comment or writing in the chat if there is a chat available, simply so I see that it's working. I'm gonna try to check myself, at least to see. Yeah, well, so probably should work quite fine, hopefully. Yeah, so we're gonna integrate like the Google Tag Manager, and we're gonna integrate everything we need. Yeah. So usually you would go to settings and put in your header tracking code here, like I have done here, as you can see, yeah. And then the body tracking code, which is stuff that actually doesn't belong in the head area, yeah. Most of you people just copy all of the Facebook code in there. It doesn't make a huge difference, but actually like image tags and stuff like that are not supposed to end up in the head area. So like I'm usually separating those tags, but whatever. Doesn't really matter. And the second page to add your tags is obviously on page. Hi Ralph, nice to have you here. How is the weather in Germany? How was your vacation and how is it being back? So the second method is like to do this here in the tracking code area. So you would just do it for this one specific page. But that also gets messy real quick when you try to like update something. Simply because you would have to remember where it actually is. So when we go to the Google Tag Manager, first you need an account within Google Tag Manager, and then actually I don't need a new account, I need a new container. Yeah. Been a while since I've been doing this. No, I don't want to go to settings. Or do I want to go to settings? Yes, I want to say new container. Aha, yeah. Funnelcircle.com, yeah. And we have a web container because it's a web page. You can use any name, but obviously using the domain name makes it easier to manage. And then we have the code for the Google Tag Manager. And there is another benefit, because in the end, your page load times will make a small difference. Ralph, where are you watching this? Like on my Facebook profiles, Twitch, YouTube, or where? I'm just curious. Actually, where is it on YouTube? Yeah, like I think I never streamed live on YouTube so far. Oh yeah, it says live now. Great. So when you're pasting all those HTML codes, yeah, here you see it's like a lot of stuff, yeah. By taking JavaScript, yeah, and JavaScript minify online and minifying it, you see that it gets 12.5% smaller, and it's only like that small thing that we had, like, so from, because it removes all the spaces that are not needed and so on, and that you can basically do for HTML, for JavaScript, for everything, which means like taking all of this and minifying it, yeah, makes it shorter. It doesn't make like a ton of difference. You see in that case, that small thing only saved 0.02 kilobytes, but if you do it for all your scripts, and I'm gonna share with you another secret, yeah, or another trick, then you will actually improve your loading times a little bit, yeah. So I'm gonna go straight ahead and show you the second important thing before we head to the tag manager. It's called Tiny PNG. This beautiful panda will make your pages perform better, and it will do so by simply, I'm just gonna look whether I have an image. Okay, here's the image from yesterday's episode of my supercalifragilistic vlog. Yeah. And you see it has like almost 200 kilobytes and should be already quite optimized, but you see tiny PNG reduces the file size by 56%. Average you achieve like savings up to like around 50%, but up to even 80%, which means if you have a page like this one, yeah, that image will be smaller, which means it loads faster, which means your conversion rates on mobile will be a little better. It will not make like, you know, like save your funnel if it's not working at all, but it means those people who don't have like a stable or good connection and usually would give up because the loading takes so long will actually get to see your funnel. If you use a video, it will not help you because the video has to load, but for all the images that you're using, even for background images, before you upload them to Clickfunnels, before you upload them within Clickfunnels, you go to TinyBNG and you upload them there, you download them again, and then you upload the optimized images. Yeah, they look the same, there's no quality difference, it's just some different kind of compression, and therefore it saves you a lot of space, especially if you use a lot of image, which for example could be useful again in all those funnels that everybody has to promote the One Funnel Away challenge, where you usually have a lot of pictures, maybe from Russell or like from this graphic and so on, and doing that, it already saves a lot of file size. And the second thing that you should consider is think about how big the graphic will be in the end, yeah, and bother to rescale it. So if you have a graphic that actually goes from left to right when you open it, but you only need it small like this, then resize it before, then go to TinyPNG and then upload it here, because it will save file size, which improves the loading times for the people who are on your page, which will in turn improve your conversion rates slightly, yeah, because people will not be annoyed by the loading times, yeah. So Ralph, real quick, like, did you finish Rich Dad Poor Dad already, and did you get Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill? I'm really in love with that book from Napoleon Hill, I have to say, and it's mind-blowing. I think it really is like, while every book out there tells you you need a goal or a dream, or not a dream, but you know, that book for me like really narrows it down, like very specifically what it is you need and how you can get it, so you have that drive to go. Yeah. So back here, so the first thing we need to do is we need to integrate. You see here it's like the head tag, so we're gonna throw that in here and replace everything else, and then that's the body tag you see, and we're gonna throw it in here. And with that we have integrated the Google tag container, and we're gonna say okay. Yeah. Now it's really great with those containers is because you can test them. So when you have something set up, you can switch to a preview mode and play around, and will only be visible to you on your computer, and you will see what works, what doesn't work. While with if you just paste in your Facebook tracking code, you would need to go to Facebook to figure out, is it working or is it not working. And now we're going to start with our first tag, which is going to be, we go to tags, and there we say we're going to add Google Analytics, and we say new tag, and I'm going to name it Google Analytics, and I'm going to create a new folder and call like general or all pages. Yeah. So we're going to group them so we know which tags are only on certain pages and which tags are on every page. Yeah. So we go to tag configuration and we say Google Analytics universal code. We want to track the page view, and therefore I'm going to go to my Google Analytics. Just going to need to go to the right account before I put it visible on screen. Yeah. So I'm going to go to Google Analytics, and there you go. Actually, Ralph, you should have said something that I forgot to share the screen. Ralph, you're not paying attention, yeah? So, yeah, let's roll back. It's great, yeah? So let's start over. So actually everybody sees what I'm talking about the whole time, yeah? Ralph, you haven't been paying attention. It's like, I rely on people watching to provide me with like information when I make a mistake. Anyway, so we go back. So the first thing I did was like show you that you can add tracking code here and here, which I already replaced. And I used the standard Google Analytics code, which we're gonna grab real quick. There below my webcam is the admin button. There you need to go. And then you go to property settings, and there you have like, no, you go to tracking info and tracking code. There you get the full tracking code. And you see like we would have this tracking code for Google Analytics, yeah, which is if we go to a Minify website, yeah, JS Minify online, it will show you, okay, it's because that's not JavaScript, okay, so it will show you it will save 0.02 kilobytes on that little piece of script, so it will save more even. And instead of having this tag and a Facebook pixel tag and all that stuff, we only have the tag for the Google Tag Manager, which is already minified. You see it's like very like unreadable. The thing is, you could minify those tags all yourself and put them in there, but they wouldn't be readable and you wouldn't be able to adjust them properly. Yeah? So we just have the Google tag here, and we don't have any other tags, even as I showed while I forgot to switch the screen. Honest mistake on my end. Yeah. When you go to edit page and you go to tracking info, tracking code, yeah, then you see there's also the header and footer area, and there you also will not enter anything because we can do this with Google Tag Manager. Then we were talking about images. So if you go to tiny PNG, and I was using, I'm gonna just do it again, I was using the picture of yesterday's vlog episode. You see it has 200 kilobytes and it optimizes it to 84, saving 56%, which means before you go ahead and upload pictures, yeah, like here, you go to tiny PNG and let that punter eat away your file size. So it both of those things will improve your loading times, especially on mobile devices and especially if they have bad connection, which in turn will improve your conversion rates. Yeah. So that said, we're back at where we were before. I'm not gonna save because I didn't change anything. So what we need from Google Analytics in that case, we don't need the tracking code, we just need the tracking ID, because in Google Tag Manager, we created a new container, which is like, I'm gonna show you real quick. We're gonna discard the changes and go back to like my account, yeah. Go to the account, accounts page. And here we went to settings and went to container, new container, and gave it the name of the domain. That's how you create the container. And then we go to that container back, go to the workplace, and there we go to tags, and we say new tag, and we start with Google Analytics, and we're gonna create a folder, or I already created it. There would be create new folder, so I created a folder all pages, and we say tag, and the tag is Google Analytics, and we say for page view, and we say it is like a settings variable, so we need to create a variable, and we call it, there in that case, it's tracking ID. We don't need more settings, yeah. So we save it, and we call it Google Analytics tracking ID. Those variables can be used in then other tags as well. We probably won't need it, but no, actually we will need it. So instead of having to enter it on multiple places, you have one variable. If for some reason your tracking ID would change, you would simply like update the variable instead of updating it on every occasion or in every space. Then we need a trigger. We need to define when this tag will fire, which basically is all page views, because we want to count page views, so we don't need to create anything fancy here. We save this. And so we have our Google Analytics tag here. It's called, or the type is Google Analytics Universal Analytics. It fires on all pages. It's in our folder, all pages. And now the beauty is we could publish something, like submit it, or we can simply press preview, which is really amazing, because even if you're not tech savvy, that preview thing will like allow you to do so many things on your own without paying somebody or waiting for feedback. And now when we go there, and it only works on our PC now because we're in the same session, you will see it launches this bar. And I'm actually gonna real quick like move the webcam in some other corner. Oh no, not hide it. Oh, it's actually unlocked. Okay, so that's locked, that's locked. So I'm just gonna move that somewhere up here where it probably doesn't bother anybody. Yeah. And I'm gonna have a sip of smoothie. So you see down here you see tags fired on this page. It says this Google Analytics tags was fired. And in fact, if we go back here to this thing, you see it shows us that we are here now. Now, if you want to make sure that it's us, actually I'm in the Ukraine, so I'm quite sure it's me. But if you have many visitors, you could simply add something here, like starting with a question mark and then test. The question mark is important because it's like indicates that parameters are following, so it's not a different URL, and it should show us here then with some delay. You see question mark test. So we know like it's really us that it's tracking here, and we know the Google Analytics tag is working. And therefore, we are done with basic Google Analytics, which is really, really great. Yeah. And having basic Google Analytics done, the next thing we do is we integrate the Facebook tracking pixel. For that, I'm gonna head to my Facebook Business Manager, and once I'm there in the spot where we need to go, I'm gonna obviously put it also on the screen with you. So if you actually, I'm gonna just do it like this, yeah. So nothing to hide here. So we can close those two. If you're on your Facebook page, you click on the arrow, and here you have your business managers. If you haven't set up your business managers, then Google how to set up your business manager. And here I'm gonna simply go to pixels. And there we're gonna then simply pick the pixel. If you haven't created it, you say new data source pixel, and you give the pixel a name. I usually use the domain name again. And what I need here is I need the tracking code from the pixel. So I say like setup, install pixel, and I say manually install pixel. And again, we have like the entire pixel code, and I can click and copy it. Yeah. And I want to collect all of that as well. We don't know the gender, but still, yeah. So I'm gonna click and copy it. And then we go back to our Google Tag Manager, and we go to tags, and we go to new tag. And we call it Facebook Pixel. And we also wanna have the basic thing on all pages. So I pick the folder all pages. I pick the triggering on all pages. And I go to tag configuration, and there is no such thing as Facebook. Yeah, Google and Facebook are not friends. So you go to custom HTML, and you simply do it like that. And in this case, you do not need document write. Yeah, like you don't need this checkbox. For some other things, when you want to modify the page content, you may need this tag. So it's like you also don't need the advanced settings. You say save. And it's gonna close, and we click preview again. Probably we shouldn't, I'm not sure if we need to like hit preview every time we wanna update it, but now we go here and we remove the test just for the lols, and we refresh the page, and what we see, like the Facebook pixel fired one time. We go to Facebook, we go continue. Yeah, we don't wanna set up event code actually yet now, so like just done. And then here on Facebook, you can also go to test events. It will then require you to enter the URL one time. Yeah, so like you enter it here, and it will open a window, and you will see like in real time the events that are being tracked. So it tracks a page view, and you see it's triggering it by event code. Yeah, so yeah, because it tracked it here. So we can close this now. So the Facebook pixel is set up basically, the Google Analytics pixel is set up basically. So we already have like our basic tracking of who is visiting the page. We're gonna go a little further, and we're gonna set up like the Twitter tracking code. Yeah. So many of you will not use it. So don't worry about it. But it's just so for those people using it. So you go to like adstwitter.com and create your ad account. And no, we don't create, or actually we create, yeah. So website, yeah. So we call it like also funnelcircle.com website. And we want to use the universal one. So it's not for a single website. We want to track everything. And I usually turn down the like, it's like in German, it says like the, what's it called if you translate it? The period of like to map visitors with advertising. So if somebody sees an ad on Twitter today, but he buys within, or like is on the website within that time of days, it would still count it as like the ad did it. Yeah. So I always set it very low. Simply because I only want to measure the results that are immediately from the ads. I do not care if somebody was like on Twitter last week and then somehow ended up on my website. So we say save conversion event, and I get another tracking code. So it says Twitter universal tracking code. And actually, I'm not sure if I remember, we go back to a tag manager. We say we want to add another tag, and we call it Twitter universal website tracking code. We put it in all pages. We say it should fire on all pages, and we go to track, and we check in the search top right. That's now again behind my webcam, no matter where I put it. And it says here Twitter Universal Web Tag. It's already configured, so all we need is the Twitter ID, and this is this one, init. That's it, like the initiation of the Twitter tag, yeah. And that's what we need, and that's what we're gonna enter here. And again, we could create like a variable for it, yeah. But we probably will not use, or we may use it. Actually, we're gonna like Twitter pixel ID, so we're gonna create a variable for that. Yeah, we could have done the same for the Facebook pixel, which we will actually do real quick. Yeah, so we're gonna say like new variable, Twitter pixel ID, and we say like here new, and it's like a constant. Oh, there down it was constant, and we give it this value. And then it should close and go back one, yeah, and then see. So here it's like, then with those brackets, I don't know how they're called in English, yeah. And so it's done. We have our Twitter tracking set up now, and for our Facebook tracking, we're actually gonna change and take our Facebook pixel, and we go to variables, and here we can also create folders. We didn't do that now. We can also group them if I'm not mistaken, but we're gonna create a new variable. And we're gonna call it like Facebook pixel ID. Again, it's very useful if you at some point decide to change or need to change the ID. And we're also gonna give it the value, and we could like format the value like and so on, but no reason to do that. The value is okay like this. And therefore, if we now go back to tags, now it's gonna get a little bit tricky because it's been a while since I did that. And here now we need to, once you start writing those brackets, yeah, it actually shows you the available stuff. So Facebook pixel ID, and now we have our Facebook pixel ID in there. And if we update it, we update it. But actually, don't forget, there's two spaces here. It's down below as well, yeah. So for the non-JavaScript watchers or like visitors that have JavaScript disabled, this one will fire. So it also requires it down here. And that said, we have Facebook, Google, Twitter. There's no separate tracking for Instagram because it runs through the Facebook pages. And then we have like, if you're using solo ads, there would be, for example, Udemy. And then just gonna log in. If you're curious what password manager I'm using, it's like 1Password. It's really like, I recommend it to everybody. It keeps your data safe. It informs you when certain platforms have been hacked, so you know you should change your password. And it also, yeah, what does it also do? It also shows you when you use the same password on multiple locations. So what I need now, I already forgot, where do I get that stupid tracking code? Probably I'm gonna say like add site, yeah, and there we have the tracking code. So the Udemy hash would be like the pixel ID here. So we're also gonna, yeah, we don't need to create a variable for that because there's no other tracking that we're gonna do, because the tracking within Udemy is then set up here, landing page, subscribed and bought, yeah. So we're gonna go to our Google Tag Manager again. We say new, we say Udemy, yeah. We put it on all pages. We say trigger on all pages. We say custom HTML, and we throw that in there, and we say save. And pay attention how the script looks here, yeah. And now I'm just quickly gonna show you, because I mentioned before the minifying, yeah. So we're gonna refresh the page. We see nothing fires, so I need to press the preview button so it updates the preview. And we press return. Also, if you like are really overwhelmed with this, yeah, like get in touch with me. I can set this up for you depending on how many tags you need up and stuff like that. It may cost you a little bit, but still. So you see all those tags are firing, yeah. And if you remember the Udemy tag, how it looked like, and then now how it looks here, so it gets minified as well. So the advantage is, instead of like throwing in a bunch of different JavaScript that needs to be loaded because it's within Clickfunnels, only the Google Tag Manager tag needs to be loaded. And once that's loaded, it then lazy loads. It means like when parts of the page are already loaded, it loads the rest of it, the tags that are needed, that need to be fired. So it's really, really saving you like time in terms of loading time. It's improving your performance, giving you more control. And like that stuff is easy. Like for that, we would have just like needed to add the code like you usually do it. But now, or actually, yeah, now we're gonna like go a little bit deeper into it. We're gonna go, where do I have that other tag? I'm just gonna make sure that I have everything like, oh yeah, ClickMagick. I forgot ClickMagick. I'm sorry about that. If you're not using ClickMagick, yeah, then you are probably doing something wrong, because it's the best way to track like how your clicks perform. It actually, I'm gonna just show, not Clickfunnels, ClickMagick. It allows you to, yeah, what does it allow you to? It allows you to like really have like your own links, but also like append parameters for tracking. Yeah, so like within your links, you can then, I don't know if I have one that has a lot of clicks. I've just switched to ClickMagick, so it's kind of like tricky. If we go here, here's no ID. Yeah, so I don't always bother to add the ID, but sometimes I do, especially on stuff like my profiles. So what do we have here? Okay, there was like probably, so you see then it would be like, okay, it came from 3 and 25, basically from the main page, and the sub ID 2 would be pre-commitment, which is the main the first page. And so it allows you to do that stuff better. And there's also tracking for that, which you can then use to track like sales and funnels and all that stuff. It's really powerful. Like ClickMagick is really powerful. I could spend hours just talking about what you can do there. And I'm sure I still don't know everything that's possible. So we also want to add ClickMagick tracking. So we go to tags, we say new tag, and we say ClickMagick. What is another advantage of like, and we put it in all pages. Another advantage of ClickMagick, which obviously is also not like here, yeah. So we also use custom HTML. Another advantage is simply, or not of ClickMagick, of Google Tag Manager. If you were to add something, some invalid code that triggers like invalid JavaScript on your page and you save it, it will like prevent other code from working properly, yeah. Which means if you have a lot of traffic on your site, in the meantime, we're gonna fire it on all pages, yeah. And in the meantime, your visitors, maybe the submit button doesn't work, so you lose money. By using Google Tag Manager, you can set everything up, you click on preview, then you check, and while you're doing that, your current version is still like it was before, so everything is still working. And only once you see, okay, everything's working fine, okay, ClickMagick tag fires, it's really great. Once everything's working, then you go ahead and publish it. So then you know, like, okay, there you go, that's like what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna check again. Yeah, then we come to some legal stuff. Yeah, within Europe you will need, or for European visitors and for some other visitors, you need a so-called cookie notice. Google actually like looks at it, yeah, like because it's a requirement that you inform people about your cookies. They're like, you can write that stuff yourself, or I can use like a service called EU Bender. Like if you ask me, I'll provide you with a link that maybe someday I'll post it. Which basically takes care of that for you. So, and I want to try to stick with the Google Tag Manager and not go into whatever it is that I'm showing you here, yeah, like into like the services. So we're gonna like create the EU Bender, yeah, like this, yeah, cookie notice. And again, it's gonna be custom HTML, and it's just like this. And I need to add a trigger. You see, I almost forgot to add a trigger when it should fire. So it reminds me, yes, I want to add a trigger, and it should fire on all pages. So no matter what page the user enters first, it will trigger that cookie notice. Yeah. So again, we press preview. Not sure if it will show it for me for being in the Ukraine because it's not part of the EU. Or actually, the bigger point is if it's visible, it's probably below this layer. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You see the cookie notice now. And while you could set up like separate policies for everything because my sites are very similar, I simply use like one website where I have my terms and conditions and they're written in a way that they fit for everything, or have separate clauses and privacy policy and cookie notice. So I don't have to do it with every funnel. Yeah. And this way it's like cookie notice, and when people scroll, it counts as accepting it, which is like okay for Google and Co. So it's not like disturbing your conversions, but you have the cookie notice stuff in there. And there we go. Then we have LinkedIn, we have cookie notice, we have Google Universal stuff, we have Facebook, we have ClickMagic, we have Twitter, and we have Udemy, which basically is the everything we need. So I'm gonna publish that for now. And we say like basic tracking. Doesn't matter what you enter there, it will be like just shown in the history. So this way we now published like basic tracking with 6 tags and 3 variables, but no special trigger. Now we will go to the first thing that I want to track. I want to track how often that pop-up is shown. Yeah, so I want to track when this happens, when people want to leave the page, or if it's triggered by a button, then I want to also track like how often it's shown. What I need for this is, and I want to know it on this page, so I know how often this pop-up is shown, and then I want to know it on other pages as well. So we're going to go back and we're going to say add new tag. Yeah, and now it's going to get a little tricky. We're going to call this like modal, actually we're going to call this like squeeze, no, we call this modal pop-up triggered. And we put it into, will we do that on all pages? We will probably do it on all pages. Let's see if we can get it like done like this. We put it through all, that's just folders to organize stuff. If you do not do any here, it doesn't matter. And then we're gonna say, to do that, we're gonna use Google Analytics Universal Tracking, but we wanna track an event, and we call that event pop-up. And so that's the category. Yeah, and I usually, because on mobile devices it makes it easier to read, I just use pop-up triggered for action, label, and value. And then we need the tracking ID. And now it gets interesting. Yeah, so now we need the trigger, and the trigger is going to be something new now. So we say new trigger, and we call it pop-up. But we create a new folder and call it squeeze page, which actually then doesn't, so I need to also change the other one, yeah. So we're gonna make this different and call this squeeze page pop-up. And the trigger is gonna be once an element is visible, and we're gonna do it by CSS selector, which means, now pay a little attention, this is like the tech part here, yeah. First of all, we need Chrome Debugger console. You get that when you press F12. It's also great for actual mobile previews, which you can switch by toggle device toolbar. And therefore now we have that page like source code, yeah, visible. And I'm gonna go to this X and right click and say inspect, and it's gonna jump there. And based on that, I see that's the container, and I could say like div ID model pop-up, so I could get this ID, yeah. And then in the tag manager, an ID always starts with like a hashtag, and a class always starts with a dot. Again, if that's then like out of what you can grasp or can do for yourself, then simply go ahead and shoot me a message, and we will figure out like how I can help you setting it up and so on. And I want to fire this like every time an element appears, and it should be minimum like 50% visible. And I want to observe DOM changes? Like the DOM is like the elements that you see here, like everything here is like the domain tree, yeah, like, or not domain tree. I don't know how the full word for it is actually, which is sad, but you never need it, yeah. So like that's the whole DOM, and it says like watch for changes, and a change, for example, is the moment that pop up. You see like when it lights up here, it means something changes here, yeah. So we want to have it to observe changes. And we want to fire it on all visibility events. Yeah, so I'm just gonna copy this here, squeeze page pop-up. But that actually works on every page now, yeah, because the hashtag modal pop-up selector will be everywhere, so we can actually do this like that for every page. So we just call it pop-up, we move it to all pages, we save this as trigger, and we change this here. No, we don't change it, we also have it in all pages, and we say save. And now we click preview like we're used to. So therefore we update, or like we publish the changes, but only for us. And then we go here and we're gonna close this because we don't need it anymore. We're gonna refresh the page. And now you will see it says tags fired on this page and all the tracking codes that we set to fire instantly. And then we have like tags not fired, mobile pop-up triggered. And now the moment I do this, you see it switches up to mobile pop-up triggered. And the funny thing is, if we're here in the live thing and we can go to events, we will see pop-up triggered was fired once. Yeah. So this event will tell you how often people try to leave your page, or if you have some, if your actual sign-up form is in the pop-up, you will know how often you clicked on a button to show them the sign-up form. Yeah. So it's a crucial data because you will know which part of your funnel is broken and not performing well, to know like what people do. And that's already some amazing thing. And again, setting it up like I did just now, it will trigger on every page, because on each funnel page the ID will always be modal pop-up, so therefore you should be quite fine. And then the next thing we're gonna set up is, what we're gonna set up next, we have cookie notice, we have this, we have this, we have this. We're gonna not track conversion, we're gonna track the scroll depth, which will not matter on like that first page because there's not much to scroll. Yeah, but we're still gonna set it up for every page, which means we will know how far people go on the page. I'm always looking there because usually my webcam is on the other side here. And therefore, if you have like that long of a sales page, but people only go through 50% and nobody ever goes all the way, it means at 50% you're losing the last interested people. It means you need to work on your copy or whatever is there. Yeah. So, and therefore we go again to tags, and we're also gonna do this for each page. Yeah. So we're gonna say like, scroll depth, all pages, and here we again have a Google Analytics event, and here we simply say it's an event, and the action. Now here it depends, you know, like if you wanna separate it, like I'm naming all of them the same, scroll depth, and I'm using the scroll depth threshold placeholder, which you can find. Where can you find that? Where did I find that? Like, where do I have that from? Like I always, sometimes I don't pay attention. Data layer variable, it should actually be here. Yeah, like let's see if we can find it. No, built-ins. Okay, you can click on built-ins, and there you have then done indicator or done variables, and there is like scroll depth threshold. Yeah, so, and that's, you can add, now I have added it twice, and so that variable is available, non-interaction hit, yes, and here we need to take our Google Analytics tracking ID again, and that's pretty much it, and we save it. We need a trigger again, we want to do this on every page, and save. And we preview, and we go to the page, and we reload it, and we check if our tag is here. It should be somewhere here, scroll depth, and we scroll down, and we go to Google, and we see scroll depth. Okay, there is the number missing, so something's not working. So we go back to the tag manager. You see, it really is nice because it's not published, and so we can debug and figure out what's wrong. Probably I used the wrong variable here. Maybe I didn't name it or something. Let's add the variable again. It actually is the same. I'm curious why doesn't it work. Could also, no, it could not be save. Okay, preview. Let's wait and see what's the issue here. And we also need to wait a little bit because obviously some things are a little delayed, like at least a few seconds. I'm really curious why it doesn't trigger here. If I open, well, there I didn't publish it, yeah. Google Tag Manager, why do you not do what I want you to do? So, like, let's go back to the debug, and it actually fires. But for some reason, it doesn't fill in the variable. Why does it not? Because I'm an idiot. Because the trigger here, yeah, the trigger here is not the pages, but the trigger here is scroll depth. Yeah, it's an on trigger. So it's not about the page view, but it's here scroll depth. So it's like, and we only want to trigger very vertical scroll. And you can define the steps. So I usually use the default ones, 10, 25, 50, 75, 90, 10, 25, 50, 75, 90, which may on short pages not make sense. Yeah, and you can define when it should trigger. Yeah, like it's different events. And DOM ready would actually mean when only I explain to you what the DOM is, like it's that all those elements that you can see now, like come, hello, dear debugging console, please appear. Yeah, so that's the DOM, but that ready doesn't mean that everything is loaded. So the pictures may still load and so on, yeah. So leaving that on the default window load is actually the best choice. You could define it by pixels, but it's a little tricky because on this screen, the height is like that. But if I remove this page, okay, it stays the same because there's no full width. But if I were to make it smaller, you will see that like now it's a different amount of pixels as well. So it's really only makes sense to set it to pixel when you know what you're doing and exactly know like on which device and stuff. So you would then split it up by device, but you don't have to do that here because within Google Analytics you can then filter like only show me mobile devices and look at the events on mobile devices. So there's no point in going through that. So now we save that and we go to preview again and we refresh here. And now we will get results in Google Analytics. So we do this and then we just scroll down and we will see here 10, 25, 50%. Yeah, which is in that case, why does it only trigger 50%? Probably because the page is very short. No, it triggers 90 as well. Great. So great. So you see, I see people scrolled all the way down on this page. So some people read everything. And the pop-up was triggered. So like some people tried to leave. So you really then see like how many people are moving their mouse out of it. Obviously the pop-up doesn't trigger on mobile devices because there's no way to notice like if they want to close something. But for desktop devices, this is going to give you a lot of information, and you could theoretically combine it. Yeah, like it takes then some work, but you could theoretically look at like how far does a person scroll and before the pop-up triggers, and you will then know at which part they like move their mouse to like go to another tab or close the window or hit the back button and so on, which is really helpful. Yeah, like again, the power is in the data. Like when you have your funnel and while it is in the end, like Russell says, hook, story, offer. Like if your funnel is not converting, it's either the hook, the story, or the offer. Yeah, but you need to figure out like if you have like a long page. So on this page, we actually are done. What we want to track here is the lead for Facebook and the form submission. Yeah. And then we are done on this page and we go to the next page and there you will see it's like a longer sales copy, and there I would actually like to know on which point people stop and disappear, because then I know which copy, like which hook, which story, which offer to check. So here we were going to start with Facebook, track form submission, yeah. And for that we're going to create what I'm going to create. We're going to create a new tag and we're going to call it Facebook, yeah. No, we're gonna call it squeeze page, Facebook form submission, and we're gonna put it in the squeeze page folder, and we're gonna, again, that's custom HTML, and you can get that from your pixel manager. You can set like set up new events, and you say up manually, and you would say here, what would you say? We are tracking actually subscribe events. So you would like look what fits, and then you would like look here what fits. In that case, we're using a subscribe event, and it says FB track subscribe. Actually, we don't track it like this. We track it with like a pixel, because that doesn't work. Yeah. If we were to use this, the problem is we would have to initiate the pixel again, but the moment they click the submit button, it already starts loading the next page, so it's not happening in time. So what we do, we use the non-JavaScript solution, but with JavaScript, you know, like that image tag, that invisible image that is used for tracking. And I'm just gonna copy it over from another setup, yeah, because I also cannot remember everything. So you see what this is going to do, it's going to do the track subscribe, but what it's also going to do, so actually that part works, but the lead part doesn't work, my mistake. So that part that I just showed you, where you can like have the track subscribe, you could just use that, but you can also use then this code, and you know, if you need it, text me or try to like pause the video and copy it from the video, and you can then replace your Facebook pixel ID here, and you have a lead event, and you have an email, and for the email we need like to know which email, and that's why we only can fire this on the squeeze page, because we need this field here to grab the email, and therefore we need this input here, and we say here right click, copy CSF path, usually copy, not selector. There's no CSF path. Then it was like JS path. Let's check. Yes, so we see we need this part here. So I copy the JS path, and I'm just gonna put it somewhere where it's empty, and we only need that part, input, like the ID and then the following element. And basically what we do is like we create this tracking pixel image, and we add it to the page. So we need to, do we need to select support document right? No, we don't need to, yeah. And we grab the email address and hand it over to Facebook. So if you're using lead campaigns and stuff like that, you should be familiar with that. Basically, the more data you can grab and store and process, the better for you. What we need now is a trigger for it, and the trigger is going to be squeeze page opt-in. And so the trigger is a form submission, and it's gonna fire on some form. And there, see, there we have some filters, so we can say page URL, page path, contains, yeah, and we take like this part here. So be aware, if you do a split test, your split test website will have a different URL here, so your trigger wouldn't fire there. And we say, do we say wait for tags? It's been a while since I set that up initially, yeah. Page contains blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, we don't say this, or do we? No, we don't say anything. So we save this here. And yeah, and we have here squeeze page, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And we go to preview again. And we load the page, and we're gonna see our bar, and we see that there is like, it's not fired yet. If we go up, it fires the modal pop-up, which it should. And now actually there's an issue, because I also need to tag or to monitor this email field, because otherwise we will not have copy JS path, yeah. Or otherwise, if people opt in here to go to the free ebook, it will not work. So we need to modify the tag. Yeah, squeeze page Facebook form submission. Yeah, sorry, I was like a little confused here. And here it actually, how do you do that? Oh yeah, just like, I'm curious now, but yeah. So here I'm gonna solve it a little bit more complicated, yeah. Var email. So you don't have to understand this. Been a while since I wrote in JavaScript, so we're just gonna do it like this. If it's not empty, then we use this, and otherwise we use that, and we want obviously to use the value, so value, and this should be it. And this way, and here we're actually gonna console.log, but it's not, yeah, there's not enough time. Like maybe we're gonna throw an alert em to check if it's working. That alert we have to remove then, because everybody will like stop because of that. So we say preview again. Now we see our text below. And the moment I click here, yeah, you see it fires the alert tag that it, so we have the email field when it's filled in here. And then we're gonna go back instantly actually to reload the page. And on Facebook we should also see, like, you see it was the subscribe event and delete event triggered. Advanced matching parameters email. So Facebook now knows the email of the user and that there was a subscribe event, which means in your Facebook ads you can say like, okay, I want to optimize for conversions, and the conversion is subscribe, and after 50 people opted in, Facebook will know how to optimize the campaign to get more subscribes, which is really great. Why do you need that? It's really like, if you do not understand anything I'm telling you, why do you need to understand this? It's if you have like your one funnel away promotion funnel, yeah, you do not own the cart, yeah, which means you cannot track like the sale, and you don't have a next page, so you cannot track like people getting to the next page. But what you can do when you use Google Tag Manager, and what I just showed you, is you can track people who opt in here. So even your ad campaigns for this page can be not just run traffic, but can be optimized for conversions, which means Facebook, within the target audience you defined, will pick those people with the best chance of opting in here once you have approved ads, of course, and like 50 conversions per week, yeah? Which means your one funnel away challenge funnel will convert better, or the ads will convert better, because you have that data. It's really crucial. And I'm quite sure that the majority of Clickfunnels users has no idea about that. So like, make sure you do that. If you do something, think it through, do it all the way, and make sure that the data you collect is accurate. Just like it's important to have proper follow-up campaigns to like increase your like chance of like getting additional sales or signups, it's also important to do your homework with the funnel setup. Don't rush into things. If you haven't set up any, if something is not finished, delay the launch, yeah, of your campaigns, because you will just lose or spend more money on ads. So now, since we know it's, oh no, we don't know it's working. We know it's working with one field. We tested it with this field, and now we're gonna test if it also works with the pop-up. So we go here, we press on the pop-up, and it also works. We get the email address. So it basically checks, no, actually that's tricky. We do not know if it works, because why not? Because it's pre-filling it, because it already cookied me, yeah. So I'm gonna delete it from here. Interesting, it also deleted it from there. Do they have the same ID? Did I miss that? They cannot have the same ID. No, they have different IDs. The IDs usually are supposed to be unique. Yeah, but it still gets the address, so it still works, yeah. So my code works properly. We grab the email address, we tell Facebook that there is a subscription and there is a lead. And we're also gonna tell the same thing to Google. Why are we going to tell that to Google? So they know there has been a subscription, so which will be relevant for your Google ads. So we're gonna add one more tag. And actually we're not gonna go through the whole funnel. So we have like squeeze page, Google Analytics, yeah, Google form submission, yeah. And we're gonna put it in the squeeze page folder. And again, we're gonna say here it's a Google Analytics tag, and it's gonna be an event, and the event's gonna be like form. The category is gonna be form, the action is gonna be subscribe, and usually what I use here as label is page host name, and I don't assign a value. Yeah, like you may assign a value, but I do not. I just wanna know people subscribed, like entered on the squeeze page. And I need a trigger, and again it's like squeeze page opt-in, so we use the same trigger. Oh, and I forgot to pick the Google Analytics variable, and that's it. So we click preview, and we go back to the squeeze page. And it should show the tag as not fired down there. And the moment I click here, it should fire Google form submission. And then we see here, subscribe. So the event fired. And in Facebook, we also see page view of the new page view of the like sales page, the lead, the subscribe, and the page view before of the squeeze page. Yeah. So you see with all those things for LinkedIn, it's a little harder. There you can only set up the conversion tracking once you start creating a campaign. I think it's stupid, but that's the way LinkedIn works. And for other stuff, it's now actually done. Yeah, so we have like integrated successfully now ClickMagick, the Facebook Pixel, Google Analytics, Udemy, Twitter. We checked that scroll depth, like how much of your page people are looking at. We check if the modal pop-up is triggered, and we also have a cookie notice integrated, and we have like triggers for the form submissions for Google and Facebook. Well, we additionally even hand over the lead to Facebook. So for a squeeze page, I consider like that's like really like all there is. If you have a video on it, yeah, but it works only for YouTube videos, I'm gonna just show you how you would set it up. You could also say like tag configuration, and then there should be, don't get video, no, YouTube, no, what was it like? Then it was like, I think it was also Google Universal, was it watch time? No, there was also Google Universal Analytics, and there should be event, and then there should be the trigger should be YouTube video. Yeah, so you can capture when people start and complete or the progress of a video, again in percentages. So you could create an event like watched video first 10%, 25, 50, so you know if your sales video sucks. But that only works with YouTube. That doesn't work with other integrations. Yeah, surprise, surprise, because YouTube belongs to Google, so that's why it works there. For other integrations, you would have to find some custom JavaScript solution. That said, we're gonna submit this now and like call it like squeeze page tracking and publish it. So now it's live for everybody who goes to my funnelcircle.com website, and the tracking will be set up, and Google Analytics and Facebook will get it and capture everything. And yeah, like I can turn off the preview, which is important. If you don't do that, you will keep seeing that stupid debug bar. Yeah, so we go there and we go to leave preview mode, and okay, yeah. And whenever you want to add a new tag, you just go to the tag manager, you pick your container, you add the new tag, and you preview it, and then you publish it. And you see like your current version, like how many changes you made. You can check which changes were made. So there's no surprises, oh, something is not working and blah, blah, blah. But it's really like it makes it easier. Google Tag Manager makes it so much easier for you, because all you have to do is like add your tracking code here from the Google Tag Manager for the container, and from there you can manage everything else in Google Tag Manager. It has like positive effects on your performance. It gives you way more control. You can track things that you couldn't track otherwise. Some of the things may require some technical knowledge, but again, like the who, not the how. So if you don't know how to do that, consider like getting in touch with me or anybody else, like the nerd of your dreams, or the nerd you usually go to, and they will be able or should be able to set it up. If they have no clue about Google Tag Manager, then probably get to somebody else, because they will just like waste a lot of time figuring out how things work. That said, that's it for today. We've been live an hour, which was nice. I would have loved a little bit more interaction. It would be nice if you watch this video later, like feel free to leave the comments now. And also, like, what do you want to see next? Probably next week I will go over the tracking integration for the sales page. Yeah, which you see is a little bit longer. There are more buttons to track and so on. So it gives us more possibilities. I'm not sure how much I will track here, but still. Also, make sure if you like want to learn about ClickFunnels, if you want to have not success, but access to me like a little bit easier, then to look into my free Funnel Circle group, and also check out funnelcircle.com to maybe sign up for my exclusive inner circle group, so you really have like more access to me. That said, thank you for watching. Even if you're watching this later, I hope it provided you with some value and insights on how to do your things better. And well, see you soon. And yeah, happy funnel hacking and great weekend.